We're talking about Yaakov because Yaakov really represents balance. Yaakov is Yisrael, is every man. He is the supernal man. He is the whole person. He is the combination of Abraham and Yitzchak, and it's not just putting two together. He is an entity by himself called splendor, beauty, what we call the sphere of Teferet. He takes the right side of loving kindness of Abraham and blends it together with the self-restraint of Yitzchak and comes up with something called truth and something called mercy. If we are going to go on a journey, we want to have balance. We want to have a sustainable system that's going to, we're going to have 2 feet on the ground at all time. We're going to go and we are going to continually walk forward, and that's the paradigm of Yaakov, the person who joins together body and soul, joins together physical and spiritual, joins together the 2 trees of the Eitz HaChaim and the Eitz HaDas Tov V'Ra. When Rav Nachman said the story of the exchanged children, which is basically a tale from ancient days that Rav Nachman perceived, that he explains that there was a king whose wife gave birth to a child at the same time, same day, the same time that the maidservant gave birth to a boy, and the midwife switched the babies, placing the maidservant's baby by the queen and the prince by the maidservant. And the whole story is the drama of how this story unfolds. And essentially, I highly recommend reading the story because essentially it's the story of every man. Because we all start out life in this exchange where we're born into a situation where we're convinced that our physical side is the essence. And that's exactly what happens with the birth of Yaakov and Esav, is that Esav, who's the Mr. Body, the man of the field, is the firstborn, whereas Yaakov, who's the person who sits in the house of learning, whose spirituality is second rate. In fact, it says that Yitzchak loves Esav because he makes barbecues. Now, does that make sense? That a tzaddik like Yitzchak would love Esav because he feeds him? Is it possible that Yitzchak didn't understand the holiness of his son Yaakov? The person that is constantly connected to Hashem? Is it possible that he thought he was going to give the blessing of Abraham to Esav? What was Isaac's love for his son, Esav? Is that he understood the importance of physicality. Listen carefully, because oftentimes when a person drops that pin, he becomes awake. He starts to recognize the reality of where he is and how far he's got to get to go to connect with his Creator. The first thing that he thinks about is, I got to make up a lot of time and I got to drop this body and stop thinking about physicality. And in a certain way, it's totally natural, it's even healthy, but it turns out to be very problematic. Because when Hashem created the world, He created the world with both spirituality and physicality together. We are not human beings looking for spirituality. We are spiritual beings, souls incarnated in the physical world, having a human experience. It's a whole different way of looking at life. That is the truth. God put us in the physical world. We are souls. And He wants us to be in this physical world, and He wants us to gain closeness with Him through physicality. If you negate the physical, you're missing the point of life. Even the great tzaddikim in the higher world, learning in the yeshiva shel Ma'ala, have their eyes on this world. And just like Avraham said to Hashem, wait, I can't talk with you right now, I got guests. So too, if a person says to his wife, honey, I can't talk with you now, I gotta go to shul. He's missing the point. If you think that you're gonna get into the pearly gates and your wife thinks that you're a jerk, you're making a mistake. And many people will look at things like eating, sleeping, family, making a living as not spiritual. And they couldn't be further from the truth. Because even though it happens to be very physical, it's an aspect of sof Maaseh Machshava Techila. It's the end of creation, it's the bottom of the barrel, but it's really what Hashem had intended when He created the world, as we know that Hashem wanted to have a dwelling place in the physical world. He wants us to experience physicality in a spiritual way. He wants us to have families. He wants us to have relationships. He wants us to eat food. He wants us to live a physical life infused with the highest level of spirituality. And eventually He wants to have a dwelling place in the physical world, in the temple in Jerusalem. That's His dream. That's His goal.